Have you ever noticed something strange? 5 people can stand in front of the exact same problem, yet only one of them walks away with a reward. The others don't fail because they lack intelligence. They don't fail because they lack talent. Most of the time, they fail because they never begin. They analyze, they criticize, they wait. They hope someone else will move first. And while they're busy explaining why something cannot be done, life quietly rewards the person who simply starts. This isn't just a story about a stone blocking a road. It's a story about every opportunity you've ever walked past because it arrived wearing the clothes of inconvenience. It's about every dream postponed until someday, every conversation avoided, every chance ignored because the first step looked too difficult. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Life rarely hides treasure behind easy doors. It hides it behind resistance, behind effort, behind the things most people complain about. Because obstacles have a secret. They separate those who observe life from those who shape it. So before this story begins, I want you to ask yourself one question. What is the one problem you've been waiting for someone else to solve? Keep that question in your mind, because by the end of this story, you may discover that the obstacle standing in your way isn't your enemy at all. It may be the invitation you've been ignoring. Long before our time, beyond rivers that reflected the morning sun like polished glass, stood a prosperous kingdom unlike any other. Its farms stretched farther than the eye could see. Its marketplaces overflowed with food, silk, spices, and laughter. Travelers often said that fortune itself must have chosen to live there. Children grew up without fear. Families slept peacefully at night. The roads were smooth. The harvests never seemed to fail. From the outside, it looked perfect. And perhaps that was exactly the problem, because while comfort makes life pleasant, it can also make people forget the strength that built it. The kingdom's ruler understood this better than anyone. King Aldrin had ruled wisely for many years. He wasn't admired because he was wealthy. He was admired because he watched. He paid attention to the small things others ignored. And lately, he had begun noticing something disturbing. Whenever a fence broke, everyone expected someone else to repair it. Whenever trash gathered beside the roads, people walked past while complaining about whoever should have cleaned it. When neighbors struggled, others shook their heads with sympathy before continuing on with their own lives. The kingdom still looked successful, but beneath that success, something far more dangerous had begun to grow. Comfort had quietly become dependence. Responsibility had become someone else's job. One evening, as the sun disappeared beyond the mountains, King Aldrin stood alone on the highest balcony of his palace. Below him, thousands of lanterns flickered across the city. People laughed. Music drifted through the streets. Everything seemed peaceful. Yet the king felt uneasy. Beside him stood his oldest advisor, a man whose beard had turned white through decades of service. "You seem troubled, Your Majesty," the old man said. King Aldrin nodded slowly. "My people have forgotten something." "What have they forgotten?" The king remained silent for a long moment. Finally, he answered, "They have forgotten that a kingdom survives because ordinary people choose to act." The advisor frowned thoughtfully. "They are good people." "They are," the king replied, "but goodness without action changes nothing." He looked toward the busy roads below. "They expect problems to disappear. They expect someone else to move first. And one day, that habit will cost them everything." The advisor waited. "What will you do?" King Aldrin smiled. "I can give another speech," the advisor chuckled. "They've heard many. I could create another law. They already have enough." The king folded his hands behind his back. "No, if people discover a lesson themselves, They remember it forever. That night, while the city slept beneath a blanket of stars, the king quietly left the palace wearing the clothes of an ordinary traveler. No guards followed him. No royal banners announced his presence. He walked alone beneath the moonlight until he reached the busiest road in the entire kingdom. Every merchant, every farmer, every soldier, every traveler passed along that road. Waiting beside it was something enormous, a weathered boulder that had rested for decades near the edge of a nearby hillside. The king placed both hands against the rough stone. It barely moved. Again he pushed. His boots dug into the dirt. His shoulders strained. Slowly, inch by inch, the giant rock rolled toward the center of the road. When it finally settled, it blocked nearly the entire path. The king stepped back. His breathing was heavy. His hands were covered with dust. Then he quietly buried something beneath the place where the stone now rested, a small wooden box. Inside it lay several heavy gold coins and a handwritten message. The king covered the box carefully with soil, looked once more at the road, then disappeared into the nearby trees before dawn could reveal what he had done. As the first rays of sunlight touched the kingdom, the lesson quietly waited for its first student. Morning arrived with its usual rhythm. The birds welcomed the sunrise. Shopkeepers unlocked wooden doors. Farmers guided their wagons toward the marketplace. Children chased one another through the streets before school. To everyone, it looked like another ordinary day. No one knew that a single stone resting in the middle of the road was about to expose the true character of an entire kingdom. The first traveler to reach it was a wealthy merchant. His wagon overflowed with fine silk, fragrant spices, and polished silver. Two strong horses pulled the heavy load while servants walked beside him. When he suddenly stopped before the enormous boulder, his cheerful mood disappeared. "What foolishness is this?" he muttered. "Who leaves a stone in the middle of the king's road?" His servants exchanged frustrated looks. One of them quietly asked, "Should we move it, sir?" The merchant glanced at the rising sun. "We're already behind schedule. Besides," he shrugged, "surely someone responsible will deal with it." The wagon rolled carefully around the obstacle. Within moments, he was gone. The stone remained exactly where it was. Not long afterward, a group of royal soldiers marched toward the capital. Their armor reflected the morning light. Their footsteps struck the ground together like a drum. When they reached the boulder, their captain raised his hand. "Halt!" The soldiers stopped. One of them laughed. "Looks like the road workers have forgotten their jobs." Another shook his head. "The kingdom collects enough taxes. Why isn't this already cleared?" The captain crossed his arms. "We're soldiers. We protect the kingdom. We're not laborers." Without another word, they stepped around the boulder. Their formation remained perfect. The road remained blocked, hidden among the trees. King Aldrin watched silently. He wrote something inside a small notebook resting on his knee. Then he waited. As the morning grew brighter, more travelers arrived. A respected judge approached, riding a beautiful white horse. He frowned at the obstacle. "This reflects poor leadership." He carefully guided his horse around the stone, then continued on his journey. Soon afterward, a famous scholar arrived carrying several ancient books beneath his arm. He adjusted his glasses, walked slowly around the boulder, then began explaining to nearby travelers exactly why the road should have been maintained better. His speech lasted several minutes. When he finished, he walked away. The stone never moved. Hour after hour, the pattern repeated itself. A baker complained, a blacksmith complained, a nobleman complained. Travelers blamed workers, workers blamed officials, officials blamed the king. Everyone had an explanation. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone believed someone else should solve the problem. Not one person placed both hands against the stone. As the afternoon sun climbed higher, Dust gathered around the untouched boulder. Dozens of wagon tracks curved around it. Hundreds of footprints surrounded it. The obstacle had become part of everyone's journey, yet no one's responsibility. Watching from his hiding place, the king felt both saddened and fascinated. The stone was no longer testing strength, it was revealing something much deeper. People had become experts at identifying problems, but beginners at solving them. Then something unexpected happened. An elderly woman carrying a basket of bread approached the road. She stopped before the stone, looked at it for several moments, then quietly sighed. For an instant, the king thought she might try. Instead, she gently shook her head. "My back is too old for this." She carefully walked around it. The king understood. Some obstacles truly were too heavy for one person. But what saddened him wasn't that she couldn't move it. It was that during the entire day, not once had two strangers stopped together. Not once had anyone asked another traveler, "Will you help me?" Everyone believed the obstacle belonged to someone else. No one imagined it could belong to all of them. The king looked toward the western sky. The sun had already begun its slow descent. Soon, the lesson would reach its final visitor, and everything the kingdom believed about opportunity was about to change. The afternoon sun drifted lower. Long shadows stretched across the road. The marketplace would soon close. Most travelers had already passed. King Aldrin remained hidden among the trees. He had watched an entire kingdom choose convenience over responsibility. Then, he saw one final figure approaching. It was a farmer. His clothes were faded by years beneath the sun. His boots were worn. Across his shoulders rested a wooden pole carrying two heavy baskets overflowing with vegetables. Each step revealed the weight of a long day's labor. His name was Thomas. Unlike the wealthy merchants, he measured success one harvest at a time. Unlike the scholars, he had never attended a great school. Unlike the soldiers, he carried no sword, only calloused hands, only quiet determination. When Thomas reached the boulder, he stopped. He slowly lowered the heavy baskets onto the ground. For several seconds, he simply stared at the stone. He noticed the deep wagon tracks curving around it. Fresh footprints surrounded the obstacle from every direction. He immediately understood something. Hundreds of people had already seen it. Hundreds had chosen to leave it exactly where it was. He looked down the empty road, then back at the boulder. Finally, he whispered to himself, "If I leave it here, the next traveler will face the same problem." He glanced at his aching hands. His shoulders were sore. His legs felt weak after working since sunrise. Every part of him wanted to walk around the stone, just like everyone else had. But another thought quietly entered his mind. What if everyone keeps thinking the same way? The road would never be clear. Without another word, he rolled up his sleeves, placed both hands against the rough surface, and pushed. Nothing happened. The stone didn't even tremble. He stepped back, took a deep breath, adjusted his footing, then tried again. The muscles in his arms tightened, his back strained, his boots dug into the dirt. Still, the boulder refused to move. Anyone watching might have laughed. The obstacle looked impossible. One tired farmer against a mountain of stone. Thomas leaned against the boulder, breathing heavily. For a brief moment, he considered giving up. No one would blame me, he thought. I've already worked all day. Someone stronger will eventually come. But as quickly as the excuse appeared, another thought replaced it. What if they say the same thing? He smiled to himself, then placed his hands back on the stone. This time, he wasn't trying to move the whole boulder. He only focused on making it shift. Just a little. He pushed. His boots slipped. He nearly fell. He stood again, pushed once more. The veins in his hands became visible. Sweat rolled down his forehead. His breathing grew heavier. Still, he refused to stop. Hidden behind the trees, King Aldrin watched every second. Unlike everyone before him, this farmer wasn't asking, "Whose job is this?" He was asking, "What can I do?" That single question changed everything. Several minutes passed. The road remained silent, except for the sound of effort. Push, rest, push again, rest again. Then, something almost impossible happened. A tiny scraping sound echoed beneath the stone. The boulder had moved, barely the width of a finger. Most people wouldn't have noticed, but Thomas did. A tired smile crossed his face. Because progress, no matter how small, was still progress. He wiped the sweat from his brow, planted his feet even deeper into the earth, and prepared to push again. He had no idea that beneath the boulder, something far greater than a clear road was waiting. Nor did he know that, hidden behind the nearby trees, a king was smiling for the very first time that day. Thomas took one long breath, then he pushed again. The boulder groaned against the earth. Dust rose into the evening air. Another inch, then another. His muscles burned. His hands trembled. Every part of his body begged him to stop. But he had already come too far to quit now. He tightened his grip, lowered his shoulder, and gave everything he had. The stone rolled forward, slowly, painfully, until at last it tipped away from the center of the road and settled beside the ditch with a heavy thud. The road was finally clear. Thomas stood frozen. His chest rose and fell with deep breaths. His clothes were soaked with sweat. His arms felt as heavy as iron, yet inside, he felt lighter than he had all day. Not because anyone had applauded him, not because anyone had even seen him, but because he knew he had left the road better than he had found it. As he bent down to collect his baskets, something caught his eye. Near the place where the boulder had rested, a small corner of polished wood peeked through the loose soil. Curious, he knelt down, brushed the dirt away with his hands. Buried beneath the stone was a small wooden chest. It was old, but beautifully crafted. He slowly lifted the lid. Inside, rows of shining gold coins reflected the evening sunlight. For a moment, he simply stared. He wondered if his tired eyes were playing tricks on him. Then he noticed something else. Resting on top of the coins was a neatly folded letter sealed with the royal crest. His hands shook as he opened it. Written inside were only a few lines. To the one who chose action over excuses, the obstacle before you was never placed there to stop you. It was placed there to reveal you. This reward belongs to the person willing to improve the path instead of complaining about it. King Aldrin. Thomas read the words again and again, his eyes filled with tears, not because of the gold, but because someone had noticed what no one else had been willing to do. Hidden among the trees, King Aldrin quietly stepped forward. Thomas immediately recognized him. Startled, he dropped to one knee. "My king!" The king gently raised him to his feet. "There is no need to kneel. You've already shown your character." Thomas looked down at the chest. "I only wanted to clear the road." King Aldrin smiled. "And that is exactly why you deserve the reward." He looked back toward the road where countless footprints curved around the place the boulder had once rested. Today, hundreds of people saw the same obstacle. They all possessed different strengths, different knowledge, different wealth. But only one person chose responsibility. The king placed a hand on Thomas's shoulder. Gold was never the real reward. The reward is becoming the kind of person who acts when others hesitate. That kind of person creates opportunities wherever life places obstacles. Thomas remained silent. The king continued, "Remember this for the rest of your life. The world doesn't change because people notice problems. It changes because someone decides to solve one." As the sun disappeared beyond the hills, the road stood completely open once again. Travelers passing the next morning would never know how much effort it had taken to clear it, but one man would always remember, because that evening he discovered that the greatest treasures in life are rarely lying beside the easy road. They're hidden beneath the obstacles most people refuse to move. News of what had happened spread across the kingdom faster than the morning wind. By sunset, everyone was talking about the farmer. drama. Some spoke about the gold, others spoke about the king's unusual test, but the wisest people spoke about something else. They spoke about the choice, because every traveler had faced the very same stone. The merchants had seen it, the soldiers had seen it, the scholars had seen it, the farmer had seen it too. The obstacle had been equal, only the response had been different. Within days, something remarkable began happening throughout the kingdom. Whenever a fence collapsed, someone repaired it before being asked. Whenever litter appeared in the marketplace, someone quietly picked it up. Whenever a neighbor struggled, someone stepped forward instead of stepping around. Slowly, the kingdom itself began to change, not because the king created new laws, but because people stopped waiting for someone else to act. King Aldrin watched these small changes with quiet satisfaction. He had never wanted his people to remember the boulder. He wanted them to remember what it revealed. That character is never built in comfort. It is revealed by responsibility. Years later, when children asked why the kingdom had become known for hard-working, dependable people, their parents would tell them the story of the stone in the road, not to teach them about treasure, but to teach them about action, because the real reward had never been the chest of gold. The real reward was becoming the kind of person who moved obstacles instead of making excuses. The truth is, life still places stones in every road. Sometimes they look like failure. Sometimes they look like rejection. Sometimes they look like fear. Sometimes they look like hard work that nobody notices. Most people complain about those stones. A few choose to move them, and those few quietly build lives the others only admire from a distance. Here's something worth remembering. Success rarely arrives wearing the clothes you expect. It usually disguises itself as responsibility, as discipline, as persistence, as one more attempt after everyone else has walked away. Nothing changes until someone pushes. Nothing grows until someone begins. Nothing works unless you do. So ask yourself today, what is the stone lying across your road? Is it the business you've been afraid to start? The conversation you've been avoiding? The skill you've been postponing? The habit you've promised yourself you'll change one day? Whatever it is, don't waste another week walking around it. Place your hands on it. Push. It may not move today. It may not move tomorrow, but every honest effort makes you stronger than every excuse ever will. One day, you'll look back and realize the obstacle wasn't sent to stop your journey. It was sent to shape the person capable of completing it. If this story encouraged you, tell me in the comments, what is the one obstacle you're choosing to push instead of avoid this week? Your answer might become the encouragement someone else needs to finally take their first step. If you enjoyed this story, leave a like, share it with someone who's been waiting for the perfect time to begin, and subscribe for more original stories that transform timeless wisdom into lessons you can apply every single day. Until next time, stay patient, stay courageous, and remember, the obstacle isn't standing in your way. Sometimes it is the way.